Miller.
First of all, thank you for the kind words. And appreciate everybody sticking around for us kind of listening to the talk. I'm from New Jersey, so being back home. You know, it's a favorite.
I'll play each of them. It was so distinctive. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk, I promise. His body, did you notice the difference? It's not just the hats and the colors and the costumes. This man's voice, I've seen the movie 6 times, but if you really, go in and see it again, watch what he does. Okay, I'll shut up.
The first thought about playing twins, I guess the worst version that comes over your mind. You've seen versions of twins, in film and television, and some works better than others, and I guess guess the anxiety of not knowing, how we were gonna do it and pull it off, kind of like creeps into your brain at first, and then you get this like feeling of excitement of the unknown and how to make it work and how to make it special and different. And it really started from, what I usually do is write backstories for each character. I write a journal, and I try to go from the character's earliest memory until page 1 of the script. And that's for everything that I've done ever since the movie Red Tails that I did a long time ago. And that really helped me, just build where their core memories and where their childhood trauma, really started. Because I feel like all of us as humans, in our adult lives, we're walking around with some sort of childhood trauma that we have, whether we address it or not, or it doesn't exist. It molds our personality and our thoughts and our habits and our movements and choices to some capacity. So when we started building the twins, I wanted to create whatever that childhood trauma was, and having, the source of Ryan, and how personal the story was to him and his relationship to his uncle and blues music, and where that stemmed from in the South and the Delta Blues. We created this trauma that Smoke was kind of like a caretaker. He was the father, he was a grumpy old man, and we built that pain. Smoke doesn't speak a lot. He only talks when he really has something to say. He internalizes a lot of his pain and trauma, and that manifests in his cadence, the way he walked, and there was agency throughout the film, and I didn't say anything for staff. His childhood trauma manifested in he smiled through his pain, and he used his charm, his charisma, and his lightness. He's an idea guy. He's always coming up with some scheme that Smoke would ultimately have to get him out of. Give it to him. So we kind of played on that dynamic a little bit. So we started that process. We went away out, got a house out in Northern California. We, my dialect coach, a couple of twin consultants that I had an opportunity to speak to and really pick their brain about, just the nuance of what identical twins were like growing up. It's such a unique and specific relationship dynamic between identical twin brothers. And we kind of built from there. As actors, we find whatever works for us in our brain and make it make sense. I wore a size too big shoe for Smoke because I didn't want him to feel like he could move too fast. Smoke really is intentional, and I wanted his shoes. When you got big shoes on, you can't really move as freely as you want to. Everything is really intentional. And Stack, I wore a half size too small. Because you got wore shoes that didn't quite fit, it was a little too tight, you're trying to squeeze into some shoes, you always want to kind of move around and you're agitated a bit, and you're light on your feet, not really staying in one place, and that was a lot of stacking. And building that childhood trauma was really important, and finding key phrases. I think in finding the dialect and the cadence in which they spoke. Stack's a slick talker, he's fast talking, you know what I'm saying? And Smoke's a little more, internal. So I found this audio recordings of these gentlemen from the late 1930s for Smoke that felt really just older, wiser, a bit weathered and worn down of the era of the time, that Jim Crow era. It felt very weighty. And I found some key phrases for Stack that was more from the early 30s that felt a little more buoyant. And it was this older woman that I used as a reference, that she was talking about flowers. And it felt very of the essence of Stack. And we tapped into the key phrases, and those were things that helped me kind of get to the cadence of those two characters. It was so much that kind of went into it. And movement training. movement, more in I did a lot of chakra training, you know, and use the chakras to kind of manifest the energy and that trauma kind of poured out of how they walked, how they talked, how they interacted with the rest of the cast and the world that we built. And having an incredible cast really helped support me in a real big way. When I stepped on set, Smoke, you know, didn't really talk that much, you know, to everybody else. He was very standoffish, and the crew kind of, and the cast all kind of treated me and Smoke accordingly. When I was stacked, you know, I was very live, you know, we were engaged. I was talking a lot of shit. We were chopping it up. You can kind of tell when the staff was present. So, you know, those are some of the, you know, the things that I did behind the scenes and kind of tap into those two guys. And it was, so I guess I would say like the things that I like the most about Smoke, I think was the fact that he was a provider and protector, you know, and he would do anything to make sure his family and his friends, you know, survived and made it, felt safe. And I think Stack had a certain carelessness and freedom to him that no matter how bad the situation was, he was going to find the lightness in it. And I kind of rooted myself into that. So that was a long-winded version of, you know, kind of.
Okay, your relationship. Okay, Wumi Masaku. She's shooting in Ghana, and she's one of the Catholic awards. Worship this woman? Worship. I told her I was working, just hire her for the next year. You did. Okay. Did you think you were cheating? When you were with Ellie? And that's work. You know what you have to do, right? What goes through your head?
As far as the first I think the first week or so that I had to go back and forth between the twins and Haley and Wumi were on set, I naturally found myself when I was Smoke, I gravitated towards Wumi. We were just around each other all the time. We were just like, I didn't really engage that much with a lot of the other cast as much. And when I was Stack, you know, I was around, you know, Haley and Mary a lot more, but whenever I would see Wumi, you know, and Andy, I would play into the dynamics, because the one thing about identical twins is you don't date one, you date both of them. And their dynamic, you know, Mary knew that Smoke didn't care for her as much because he felt that she was bad news for him and his brother, you know, so that dynamic, that triangle played out in the imaginary sense, because when I was Smoke, clearly, you know, Stack wasn't around, so he played into that. And then vice versa, you know, when I was Stack, you know, Stack felt that Andy didn't really care that much for him because he was the reason probably why Smoke would never be at home with her, that he would always be with his brother on some scheme or some adventure that he got up into. So playing that dynamic was fun. You know, it was fun. I had two phenomenal actresses that I get a chance to bounce off of and really brought the best out of me. So I really thank you for be as great as they are.
And Ellie wishes she could be here, and she's shooting something else somewhere else in the world. Working actors. Okay, Mr. Delroy. So what do I want to say, just in terms of the movie? Because I know that in a lot of to you and talked about the last scene in the movie, which takes my breath away. But I also want to talk to you about the first scene. And I think that was so powerful and so difficult as an actor to do that only you could do it. And I just think, as I said, you're a national treasure. Could you please speak to maybe the first scene? You can talk about the last scene as well, because I know that's very important, but I don't.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the reception to all of us. I want to say a couple things before I get to the question, and I will get to the question. I know there are a lot of actors in the room, right?
Yeah.
For this project, the work started, and I know you guys know this, but specifically the Sinners, the work started the dinner that we all had before we started filming. And Mike, in terms of Mike's generosity and his openness, gave me my flowers. He said some things that immediately established an open line of communication for the work to come. And I had versions of that with all the actors. What I hope for all the actors in the room, all the filmmakers in the room, that you experience at least once in your careers, and hopefully more, a dynamic like this, because, and I will get to the question, I promise. The filming, there were a couple things that occurred to me. I stood in the back there and I watched the end credits, and I was listening to the music. And one of the things that Ryan Coogler and the filmmakers got stunningly right, it was scalpel sharp in terms of presenting a piece of work set in 1932, but also making it really, really, really relevant and resonant for a contemporary audience. And the music, again, I know I'm not saying anything you don't know, but the music is so much centrally and fundamentally a part of that. And that's not a given, that's genius right there. And the other thing that I would say about us and Sinners, the filmmaking, is, and I just thought about this, the work, the building of the film happened when we were not in front of the camera as much as when we were in front of the camera, to the extent we would commune in the ways that we did. And I will tell you right now, I'm not a communer. And I do my own thing. The general vibe on the set was such that the mood was such that we could come in and connect and go off and do our own thing. And that was, again, Ryan Coogler's genius and ours in terms of the mood and the vibe on set. Francine, to your question. That first scene, you mean at the train station, is that, man, it's so wonderfully written, it's brilliantly written. And I remember when I had a reprieve because we were scheduled to film it, and then the location was not quite ready, so I had a few more days to think and prepare. When I say it was like butter, I don't mean it was easy. I don't mean that because the work, as we all know, it's challenging, it's difficult. But the stage was set in such a way that we all could plug in in the ways that we need to plug in. I was immensely supported by the depth of the writing and the dynamism in the writing. And the only thing Ryan said to me at one point, I felt like I needed to get up. He said, no, stay seated. This is your throne right here. This is your area. I say to the preach boy, this is my badge. My badge right here. And Ryan was affirming that for me, and I took that on, and then we see the work that happened for all of us. The last scene. You mean when they come for you, when they. So because of the technical aspect of that scene, the prosthetic, which takes a certain amount of time to apply, we only got one bite of the cherry. And if I'm really honest, I wish we could have done that scene again, gotten another bite of it, but we had one take, and I also think we had a time issue that evening. So it just had to be right. We had to get it. And I remember Ryan saying to me, we did the scene, everybody was super prepared. Everybody was super prepared. We did that scene the same evening that we did You Spike. And because of the way that Ryan shot that, and it was a piece of music that he played on set that we were all listening to, that all drew us into the scene, in a sense, what I had to do with that last scene was kind of sort of an extension of how Ryan had set it up. And we were all ready. I do wish we could have gotten another bite of the cherry, but what Ryan said to me was, man, we got it, man, we got it. You know, me being, I don't know, man, But he assured me that we had it, and I left set confident that he was saying we had it, we had it. And it's such a wonderful end to the arc of my journey through the story, starting from where I start from and ending with that sacrifice for Sandy and the future of the music and the future of the tradition that this young man represents.
Just wait, I got a little surprise for you, just wait. Let me say this about Ryan Coogler. I work with a lot of wonderful directors, and this doesn't take away anything from them. But Ryan Coogler really saw you and got you to fly. And I think he got her to fly because she knew he was going to have open arms, to capture. Jayme I've known since she was a young, and has auditioned a lot, and I just thought she was brilliant, just incredible. And you've worked a lot in a lot of movies, but this is the first time I felt that the director really saw everything you could do and be, and I'd love you to speak to that because I adore you, and I'm so glad. I hope that there's more roles for Black actresses to play. this lady should be starring in movies. So just tell us all what you want to tell us about this experience, about you singing and what you.
Now, I don't have tissue on me today, so you're trying to get tears.
Thank you. I love you.
Yeah, this journey for me, like Francine said, I've been really fortunate to play a lot of very respectable, honorable, historical women, and love that. I do, but I'm also who I am, and there are other dimensions. And it was looking like, oh, that's who this actress is going to be. And for all of us that are in this room, you know what it is to know that you carry more, but you just can't. Yeah. And when you don't feel like they can see it. And so then for Francine to see it first in me, and then for Ryan to see that, and really welcome me fully, all of who I was on this set. It was a gift that I cherish. I spoke about this earlier today, but for me, I grew up in musical theater, but I essentially stopped singing for like 10 years. 16, shut it all off. And the journey of trying to wrestle to come back with my voice over that 10-year period was a journey. And so then getting the opportunity to work with Lil Big and Serena and the incredible Brittany Howard that wrote Pale Pale Moon, it was like, oh, I found something that sits, that my voice belongs. And then working with our choreographer, Akuman, and figuring out, well, who is Perlene, how does she live in her body, versus how is she as a sharecropper, and then what is that to be on that stage, right? And that level of liberation, and exploring that liberation in the 30s, in this Black body. It was amazing. I had a really good time on set. I had a really good time with Perlene. I got to say some lines where I looked at Ryan and I said, well, she don't seem too bright in this moment. You know, and then to get her to get to roar and crawl on the floor, it was just like, oh, she got to live fully. And as actors, and especially as a Black woman, wanting to find characters which they can live fully, and that there were other women in this film that got to live fully, and no one. Just did such an incredible job of carving out Annie and Mary and Merlene and Grace and Joan, and really likes to talk about the little girl at the shop with the flower. How you see a span of women that get permission to live, and they're not in competition with each other, and nobody's story is like the other. You see how Annie's character at the door, when they're questioning Mary, she said, what we're not gonna do is that, right? You getting to see that love and live with these characters like that. Man, you jump at the opportunity, and that all starts with Ryan, what he put on the page, and then what he welcomed in our curiosity and our humanities, and letting us bring ourselves fully to that. And it created a real joy that I think all of us have been, carrying with us and hoping to bring to the next project. And now getting to live in my body that way, it's like, why would I dare go back?
I just want to take a second to, just because they couldn't be here, they wait, and my God. Hold on. I've never moderated, so. Okay, that's how much I love this movie, because usually I'm behind the scenes and stay there. Okay, Omar, you, sir. You just can't help it. You don't try to steal scenes, but you do. And I don't know an audience member that alive that doesn't love Omar as his portrayal of Cornbread. What I found interesting as an actor, this is just at the top of my head, Omar, is you just walk this line between comedic performance and a truthfulness that I think is rare. I think that, and I give you so much credit as an actor for that, because you just go a little this way, and it could be, too big, too broad, and it goes the other way, and you would be, so just talk about that, talk about what this movie meant to you, and just talk, man.
I'm gonna go listen more on this one because I see people heading for the exit as well. But you know what? Thank you for that, because that to me is a compliment of the highest order. Because what I'm going for is authenticity. And so I've been doing this a long time now, and when people come up to me, I'm approachable in a way that people will say, hey man, you might be my brother, or my cousin, or my uncle, or my dad, or my son, or my nephew, and to me, that's the goal. Whatever material that I'm presented with, I want to make it as believable as possible. And to my experience in real life, this life is hard. No matter whose life you have. You could have the easiest life, and it's hard, and that's just part of the human condition. And the way that I grew up, the way that my people were, is that you laugh and you cry, and you laugh to keep from crying, and then you cry from laughing, and this is just part of who we are as dynamic people, all people, in my opinion. And so I try to bring that to the work, and like Del said, it's such a unique experience to have a group that makes you feel comfortable to let it all hang out. And that's from, the top down. Ryan was opening that for all of us. But also, how you start the conversation with Mike, man, it takes generous performers to actually let it loose. Because, what we're doing in this film is a huge movie. It's still Hollywood. So you're not trying to step on toes and this, that, and the other. For me, I got involved in this project, and I wanted to be a part of something that had the potential to be special. It surpassed those hopes and expectations. And in that, I made some friends that will now be lifelong friends, and I have other people like Mike that I know for 20 years. So it's like this thing can be beautiful, meaning this business. It can be beautiful. It is certainly heartbreaking and it's difficult, but I have one thing to share with all of the actors in the room. The distance between where you guys are and where we are is much shorter than it feels like.
And just Michael, you let each person shine. Yeah. You don't try to take it all for yourself, man. You just look at how each of these actors, just go off the screen. Okay, young man. I think his mom is in the audience somewhere, so I give a lot of credit for raising this wonderful young man. He was 18, I think, when you got the call, and what we did was put the word out worldwide, and somebody saw this as a kid performing for her, and nothing else special about you, and that's it. And I thought, okay, this am one of them. You can ask my kids that I am up till midnight or beyond watching every audition that comes in the door. Anyway, Miles, so you did a taping, I wish Ryan was here to tell the story, in his basement, okay? And we could barely see him. Did you even know what you were doing? Did you?
I had a ring light, I went over with the ring light. I was trying to go for like a certain job. I thought I had something, I thought there was something.
Well, clearly it worked, so.
That was my first self-tape. But I couldn't. Once I got there.
But the first time you sang, right? That's what
Yeah,
you did. That was the
yeah.
first stage. Everybody just sang.
Yeah.
And you chose to sing.
Sam Cook for the home to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ryan said to me, I can't see him. That voice is just kind of unremarkable. So then we had you tape again and again. We asked him to light himself if he could. And then we flew you to LA to read with Michael B. And Ryan and Ludwig's in the room, and he never told us he didn't play guitar. He did.
Somehow later.
So just know, he never acted before, never played the guitar, but we heard this voice, and say the story, and I'm gonna, I don't know, good, but I don't know if I believed there is something powerful up there, but I now do, because I heard his voice, and I said, there's somebody up there coming through this kid, and I mean this, and he made me believe, and so he came in the room and talk about the reading with Michael for a bit, so they know what, like, you came in, I think I told you, relax, kid, you know, it was not the best, you know, I wasn't the warm, wonderful one, and one of you was.
Oh yeah, I mean, Francine definitely got stairs, like, but she was just helping me to loosen up, and then, you know, there was a point where I think it was 12 real quick, we went outside the room, and he just talked to me really quick, and just helped me, just on different cues, different things I could do to just make the adjustments, and we went back in there, and I did it over again, and I got a better response from Francine. But I knew, you know, that I would have, if I did get this project, I would be able to work with people who could really take me under their wing and really help me. And there was no ego, like I didn't know what to expect going into this, you know. This was a completely new experience for me being on the music side and touring. I had that experience, but walking into a different realm, you have actors who have been doing this for so long, who have, you know, stories of you know, what it took for them to get there. I really wanted to take all that into consideration and just respect the space. And when I got there, I really found like a family of people who were willing to, you know, in the midst of them trying to find their characters and work on their stuff, they went out of their way to help me. So it meant a lot.
So I texted Ryan before I came here, and I said, it's dangerous having me as a moderator. I gotta tell you that. Will you sing a little bit of what was that? Because I asked him in the room, I didn't want him to go after he read. You know, just let me hear that voice. So I know this is not typical, but will you just sing a little bit of, like, Just what he's saying on that audition so they can get a feeling for what I heard. Brian heard.
If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, baby, bring it to me. Bring your sweet loving, bring it on to me.
Last question. I know what this movie means to me, how deeply it touches me. I would like to know what it means to each of you. Just, we don't have much time, but just something that you're going to take away from it, that touches you the way the experience. Anything you want to say?
I'll go with it. Just reconfirms my belief in the power of humility. Because there are some very powerful people on and around this project who were as ego-free as you can get in the positions that they're in. And for somebody who's been doing this a long time and seen all spectrums of it, all shades of the spectrum of ego, it's beautiful to see people with the juice not have to feel like they have to flex.
Piggybacking somewhat on what Omar said, I feel that on many levels I'm a living, breathing example. This is for all the actors, all the creatives in the room. I'm a living, breathing example of the quote-unquote reward that one can get from hanging a fucking head. In the journey of a career, we all know there are ups and there are downs and there are up. But the moment that I'm in right now, which, started with Five Bloods and then this has moved to this, I'm feeling a very special moment. But in feeling that moment, I also have the knowledge and the experience of everything I've gone through. So we all know the ups and downs, but you guys hang in. I'll say one other thing. Mike, Ryan, they are creating a new paradigm of how to do business, how to navigate. The fact that they're taking agency, they're taking a responsibility and they're saying, you know what? To use your term, Mike has said it a few times. Why not me? Why not me? Asking that question and then answering it and putting the pieces in place to go for it. So hang in there and go for yours, yo.
I would just say everything that they said and the power of generosity, the power of curiosity. Ryan was curious throughout the entirety of this filming process, which for me, to see somebody at that level with such a genius who wrote this script, constantly always asking questions. I learned heavily from that. And humility and joy. Like what the combination of all that can bring is something as big as that. leading this set.
My biggest takeaway from just the whole opportunity in the film is just to just do what you know that do what you know what it is that you're meant to do. And I think a lot of times we let our fears and our doubts overcome what we know what we're meant to do. And I was found on this project touring, just working. I had no expectation of this, but I was doing what I love to do, and in that, opportunities presented themselves. So I think when you're in your purpose and you're doing what you're meant to do, it will lead you to where you're supposed to go.
Before my closing this out, I would be remiss if I did not speak to the power of God. The power of bad lighting, ladies and gentlemen, the ones who said it went through a 4-week light. I have them for sale in the lobby. And that's what we gotta deal with every day. Peaceful goals, you understand? And he's straight up, he's just whatever. I'm gonna make this brief. I know you guys got babysitters, everything. I came out here, you know what I'm saying? To see us, support us. I'm gonna speak on Ryan real quick since he's not here. I'm gonna try to make this brief. I can't say enough about that man. He is an incredible visionary, an extremely selfless person, and very intentional. And he's pure-hearted, and his word is bond. You know what I'm saying? He does what he says he's gonna do, and he's somebody you can rely on in a really big way. And I'm just so excited this is my 5th movie that I had an opportunity to do with him. And to have other actors have opportunity to experience and kind of confirm my feelings and guts on this man. To have other people speak about the experience of working on a Ryan Coogler film, I think it's truly something special. So I just want to say that to him and to this cast right here. Guys, I'm so fucking proud of you guys. Legend, you know, was an icon, and the fact that, our first day that we worked together, we were in that car, you know what I'm saying, and when you first show up on set, everybody's, you guys are prepared at home, and, you got your lines all together, and you come in on character and whatnot, and you kind of feeling out, where's everybody else going to be? Is everybody going to be talking regular accents? Is everybody going to and this guy, he's fully in character. He's self-medicated, drinks a lot. You know what I mean? He's got his hat on, fronts on, lace front. You know what I'm saying? and I'm still, a little anxious to try out, these characters that I built. Specifically Stack. And I'm like, man, I need to go over there and say what's up with Delroy, you know what I'm saying? I don't really know what kind of mood he's in, so I'm kind of looking at the business and shit. He's kind of off to the side, and listening to, something in his headphones and shit. I'm like, I'm gonna say what's up, I'm gonna say something to him, he's like, alright, that's what we at. The work starts now. It was a nice check-in, and it kept me on my game from day one. And appreciate you. To this man, Miles, there's no way you tell me this is his first movie, first audition, first time playing guitar, you learned how to play 2 months, which is insane to me. And I couldn't be prouder. He was so curious, like literally seeing his journey from a young boy to a man at the end of the movie. What's his journey in real life? Because by the end of the shoot, he was a seasoned vet, and he was so curious and asked questions. And I got you for that, bro. Because Jayme is another savant. Like, she is incredible. I think understanding her journey more and more as I got to know her throughout the course of this film, and her dedication to the craft and her
you know, listen, we were shooting like 2 hours away from, you know, New Orleans in the middle of the boating somewhere, and, you know, maybe she probably didn't have to work for another 3 or 4 days, talking about 100+ degrees. I show up on set, she's already in Video Village with her cans on, you know what I'm saying, looking at the monitor, and I'm like, why are you even here right now? And because actors don't do that, you know, when you're not working, you're not showing up to watch other people work, you know, you're at home doing whatever it is you're doing, but her dedication to the craft and wanting to be great and a future filmmaker, I can't wait to see what you do in the future, because you were phenomenal. Omar, I've been talking for about 20 years, which is wild to me, you know, and he's one of the most genuine people that I know. He doesn't change, he doesn't falter, he is who he says he is. And when it comes to working, being on set, he's very generous, and also, he doesn't try to take a lot, and he wasn't in every scene, and sometimes when you're on set and you're in big scenes with an ensemble cast, everyone has to fight for theirs, and it becomes this kind of dog-eat-dog kind of vibe, and it doesn't really produce the best nuance. And always so great at understanding what the scene needs and what other actors need, and becomes a vessel and throws you lobs because he wants to see you win, and he knows and understands that that's going to make the scene win. And you did that day in, day out for both of my characters, everybody on set, and that's a testament to you and your confidence and your experience, and just you as a person, man. So I really appreciate you. Yeah, seriously, humanity is up there, bro. So really honored to know you for as long as I have. I'm really honored that you did your job as look at all the people that you have put in a position to win, and how many tapes that I'm sure you might have watched of these faces of these actors. So just, you never know who's watching you. And
We watch, just know that.
And I'll say just this last thing. What's for you is for you, and nobody can take that away from you. It's for them. And just walk your path, be obsessed about what you do, and it's going to work out. The universe will inspire to make it happen. So I appreciate you, man.